time. It's Thursday, and Key Sports and More is on the air. Dennis Miller along with sports director Brett Knutson. And what happened to those Toronto Blue Jays? Well, they lost the handle, and the season's over. Yep, it's over for them. Are you surprised?
Absolutely, I am.
I think a lot of people are because they expected the Blue Jays to just sail right on through, and they did not. And the Cubs are, well, they're in there fighting, aren't they?
Well, they came through big time. They needed that one last night. They got it in a big way. After being shut out 2 games in a row, they certainly came out swinging some big bats and really probably changed how that series is going to go now. Tied 2-2, you probably feel like they, as good as they are, there's no way they're going to lose 2 out of the next 3. More than likely, they'll figure out a way to win 2 out of the next 3. But yeah, back to that Cleveland. I mean, that's just, to me, that is about as simple as what postseason baseball is all about, and it's why you want your team to, I don't want to say be built on pitching, because I think, Cleveland going into the series didn't have a dominant pitching staff. They had guys out. I mean, their top 2 starters were gone. So it wasn't so much you need to build your team on pitching. It's that in a playoff series, you have to have really good starting pitching, because a team that is built on offense and hitting the long ball like the Blue Jays can be silenced by good pitching. And that's what this series to me was about. It was just Cleveland's starting pitching was so much better, and their bullpen was so much better than the Blue Jays. And so baseball, after everything we've gone through with, the ball being able to hit out of the park and more hitter friendly, all that stuff, it's still about if you pitch better, you're going to win. And that's as simple as it is most of the time. And good pitching will, over the course of a series, usually win out over offense. And that's what happened with Cleveland. And it doesn't matter that it was pitching that wasn't expected to get the job done. They still had better starting pitching. And it shows why, as much as it's nice to have a lot of big bats in the lineup like Toronto does,
pitching is everything.
And yeah, you can put up some gaudy numbers during 162 games of the regular season, but managers manage postseason games differently. They will make more pitching changes than they do in a regular season game. They will go after more matchups than you see, and it's to keep those offenses down, and that's what Cleveland did. I mean, that's why the Dodgers are still hanging with the Cubs at 2-2 is because they threw 2 shutouts at them, and the Cubs couldn't hit, and that's the problem. And so, and I still think that's what it will come down to with the rest of this Dodger-Cubs series. I mean, if the Cubs get the starts out of their pitchers like we've seen all along, they still got Lester and Kyle Hendricks going. They've got to feel really good about themselves. Of course, the Dodgers have got Clayton Kershaw one more time, but that's sort of how it's going to go. Is last night was certainly about the Cubs offense, but or was it really more about the Dodgers pitching not being good? That's how you can also look at it. So very, very interesting to watch these games play out. And as I said, it's just going to come down to, can you pitch a little better than the other team, and do you get the matchups, and do your guys come through? So I mean, what a win for Cleveland, not just the team, but the city. I mean, we were before the NBA Finals talking about when is Cleveland ever going to win anything, because we thought that Golden State was going to figure out a way to roll through the Cavs, and we knew the Browns are going to be bad for the next 100 years. So, but I mean, to get LeBron and the Cavs to win, and then on the heels of that, really out of nowhere, maybe not out of nowhere. Cleveland was a good team last year. They were a team that was expected to play better this year, but to roll through, and that's what they did. I mean, they rolled through the Red Sox 3-0. They rolled through the Blue Jays 4-1. I mean, they have been the most dominant team in the playoffs so far, and now they're sitting, getting ready for the World Series, watching, and I'm sure hoping that the Cubs and Dodgers go 7 games. I mean, it's very, very impressive. And when you consider the way it ended for Terry Francona in Boston, the way it was just a disaster. Players doing whatever the heck they wanted in the clubhouse, and the team in complete disarray. It looked like he lost control of the team, and it was his fault that they had fallen on hard times. I mean, he resurfaces in Cleveland, and not only does he get them to the World Series, I mean, he gets them there by really outmanaging everybody else. I mean, he went the other night, what, in game number 3, 8 1/3 innings with his bullpen. I mean, his starter didn't even make it through the first inning, and he matched up all series long and took a Toronto offense and made it look feeble. So he has now, I think, put himself back in the forefront as one of the best managers in baseball. Remember, I mean, this is the guy who ended the curse for the Boston Red Sox, for goodness sake. So, as bad as it ended in Boston, I think he has now completely changed the thought process on who he is and the kind of manager he is after what he's done in these first 2 rounds. Because I think everyone really believed Boston and Toronto were probably, in Texas, maybe the 2 favorites to the 3 favorites to make it. Cleveland was the afterthought.
I'm sure the Vegas odds were in their favor, yeah.
Yeah, so a very good job, and I think it'll be fun to watch the end of this Cubs Dodger series to see who comes up. I mean, the Cubs saved. I don't say they saved their season, but they really certainly helped themselves. You go down 3-1, knowing you got Clayton Kershaw pitching at some point, you're probably done. So the Cubs really saved what would be a very nerve-wracking few days for Cubs fans. And now they're right back in it. They hit the heck out of the ball last night, and so I think you would believe that they're in very good shape now to get to the World Series.
Well, no matter which it is, the Cubs or the Dodgers, they'll be the favorite against the Cleveland Indians again.
And do the Indians really mind it? Probably not, right?
No, I don't think they do. Really, they kind of enjoy that spot, don't they?
Well, it doesn't seem to bother. I mean, it certainly doesn't seem to bother. But remember, the record that Cleveland had, they had home field advantage against Boston because they had a better record. They had home field advantage against Toronto because they had a better record. But for all to see, they were the underdog, and that's what we talked about, Dennis. They're missing 2 of their starters. I mean, you're down 2 starters. Go to anybody who's left right now. I mean, you take Lester and Hendricks off the Cubs. Do you think that they were going to win the series against the Dodgers? No.
Probably not.
You take Kershaw off of the Dodgers. Do they have a chance? And I know maybe Cleveland didn't lose their number 1 starter because that's Kluber. So, you're losing a 3 or a 4, maybe a 2, however you want to. But still, you lose 2 starters. You are not supposed to roll through the playoffs like they did. So it's been very impressive.
How about that rookie left-hander, Ryan Merritt?
I
Such
mean,
an unknown quantity, and steps out there and gets the job done.
That's
and
what the playoffs are about, isn't it?
They riding him beforehand?
I mean, that's just you wonder if that's part of maybe the over aggressiveness of Toronto, or they haven't seen him, don't know enough about him. I mean, but you'll see that in the playoffs. I mean, a guy come up that nobody's seen, virtually nobody's seen, and just
blow the doors off.
I think you had a combination of him not having a whole lot of familiarity to the Blue Jays. That's part of it, and then you've also got a Toronto team that's down 3-1, pressing. They realize we're almost done, and you get a little anxious, you get a little nervous, and you have those situations.
And Bautista, now these guys are down 3-1. He comes out there just shooting the mouth off about they're going to have Ryan Merritt shaking in his boots.
Well,
boy, what is he? Can we find him today for a comment? I don't know.
Well, he's packing up his locker.
He's packing his locker
up, doing. I mean, yeah. Now that could be part bravado. That could be part. Hey guys, this is what I expect us to do against this kid, which is what they should have done against that kid. But there again, that's why the playoffs are such a fun theater for us to watch, because if that was a game in July, he's probably right. The kid probably is shaking in his boots. Toronto probably scores 6 runs in 2 innings and he's out of there. But the playoffs have funny things that happen. And what you find out is there are some points where pressure eats up players and teams, and other teams thrive underneath it. And you never know till you're in that situation. And I think what we've seen with Toronto the last couple of years is the playoff pressure, at least for the core group of these guys, isn't something they thrive on. And obviously, Cleveland has found something here the last two series, and they seem to be enjoying what is the playoff pressure.
Across the board in sports, I kind of laugh at this. The younger guys and gals who come into these sports, they don't know that fear yet of what losing costs them, and this could be a typical case. I mean,
Yeah,
he
I
probably
think
didn't know half the lineup that he was facing.
I think there's something to be said for that, right? I mean, you can either be someone who's so caught up and nervous that you can't handle
That you're
it,
intimidated,
or yeah, you're just so dumb and naive you don't know any better. Or you hear some players talk about it that the first time through the playoffs, you just think, okay, this is going to happen every year of my career, right? This is just what you do. You go through the playoffs, you get ready. The next year we'll be in the playoffs. Well, the year after that we'll be in the playoffs, and so the moment doesn't become so big. Later on in your career, when you know you have just a couple years left, maybe, and you've been to the playoffs once or twice or maybe never, that can get you. You can realize that how huge this moment is, and it can just work against you big time. So, and I don't know if that was the case with Toronto. I think it was just great managing, great pitching, great execution by Cleveland, and they're in the World Series, and they get to sit and watch, some good baseball between the Cubs and Dodgers before they find out who in the heck they're going to play.
Well, a guy that's going to be happy with his Cleveland Indians is LeBron James. He's supposed to get his ring when they have their first game of the World Series, I think.
That's gonna, yeah. I mean, that's
That's
gonna
going to be a good
talk
moment.
about a nice few days in Cleveland as they celebrate the championship of the Cavaliers, and then of course you get the World Series games in Cleveland. So yeah, it's gonna be something like that city's never seen before.
Big celebration. Well, who we got on tap today? Anybody special
So
ahead?
of course we're going to talk a little high school football. Price Harris of the Denellen Tigers will give us a little preview of that. That little district battle they got coming up tomorrow night against South Sumter. That should be
Oh
interesting.
man,
And of
is that
course,
going to be a battle?
the Beefleberry Player of the Week awards as well last night. Lecanto, Crystal River, and Seven Rivers. Citrus was on a bye, but we'll talk to the head coaches and players of the week as Debbie Hebert from Beef O'Brady's talked to us about that. So that's what we got tapped for the rest of this edition of Key Sports and More.
All right, stay with us as the fun continues on CBS Sports Radio 104.3.
No audio?
With only employees, not subcontractors. Bowl Rice Roofing. Dependable, reasonable, and as easy to remember as a bowl of rice. Bowl Rice Roofing. 628-7445. CCC 025464.
Nick Nicholas Ford Inverness is now celebrating 35 years giving back to your community and honoring all veterans and first responders. Stop in today for super savings going on all month long on new Ford cars and trucks and a great selection of pre-owned cars and trucks, including Ford certified pre-owned vehicles. Don't miss the 35th anniversary celebration at Nick Nicholas Ford, Highway 44 west of Inverness. Just look for the big American flag. Get to Nick Nicholas Ford Inverness.
Need wood for fire.
I go get. I got wood for fire.
What takes so long?
Had to use restroom. Someone not refill toilet paper.
My bad. You wash hands?
Of course. What caveman you take me for?
You know, Dan, people are happy.
Well, Brittany, how happy are
Caveman with indoor plumbing.
you? Yep. Get happy. Get Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it. 237-2888. Don't miss the Citrus County Blessings first annual Halloween costume ball, October 21st at Rock Crusher Pavilion. The fun starts at 7 p.m. with live music, open bar, scrumptious food, silent auction, 50-50 drawings, and of course loads of ghoulish Halloween fun. All proceeds benefit Citrus County Blessings weekend feeding program for almost 15 conversations about the latest sports news on the Nature Coast, be sure to tune in Key Sports and More right here on CBS Sports Radio 104.3. I'm Chris Miller. Together with Sports Director Brett Knutson, we're exploring everything from the preps to the pros. All the sports information you're looking for. We'll talk with coaches, players, golfers, drivers, and more. The people making it happen. 24/7, we're keeping you in the know about sports on the Nature Coast. We are CBS Sports Radio 104.3.
When you need to keep a business running, or a school, or a bakery, or an HVAC shop, or an auto body garage, a cleaning service, a locksmith, a contractor, a property management company, a restaurant, a grocery store, a dry cleaner, a hotel, a moving company, a hospital, or pretty much anything, you want Grainger. Grainger has the products and solutions to help a growing business succeed. Whatever you need, whenever you need it. Grainger's got your back. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Second period for Key Sports and More. We'll just shift over for a second here, if you would, to the NBA. And let's talk a little bit about Draymond Green. This is going to be the big problem for Golden State, if there is one, because I think we've talked about Curry. We've talked about the fact they picked up Durant this coming season. But a lot of people say the real key to this team is Draymond Green. And he certainly has not had the best of summers if you look at things that have happened to him. And the night that he was out, remember game number 5, them guys, they just couldn't get it together. So what is the story here? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting. He's kind of the lightning rod for that team, good and bad. I mean, he's a guy that obviously gets a lot of attention, probably the, if you want to say the vocal leader, but he's certainly very outspoken. Uh, he has got to rein it in a little bit in terms of his on-court play. I mean, I don't care what he does off the court. I don't care some of the things he says. He is important to this team. I mean, he's a key component to this team. And they're going to win with him, and they're going to need him. And we saw that last year in the playoffs when he was out for a game. It was a bit of a turning point. So I think whatever he does and is outside of the basketball arena and the basketball court is fine, but he needs to make sure it doesn't leak over onto the court and start getting suspensions and the collection of technical fouls, which leads to suspensions. And if he does, he'll be okay. And I have a feeling perhaps that, when you're going through last year like they were, 73 wins, not a whole lot in terms of difficulties at all. I mean, when you win 73, you don't go on long losing streaks.
Yeah, it seemed like they just cruised through the season.
And they did. And so when you're doing that, you allow your guys to continue to do what they do, right? I mean, if Draymond Green is saying and doing things and creating havoc on and off the court, what is the big deal? Because the team as a whole is winning, everything is kosher and working well. But we saw it maybe take on a little bit of a sideways tilt in the playoffs, but that's the playoffs gets magnified, and maybe sometimes too much so. So I think a lot of people are going to react to, oh my gosh, Draymond Green is a problem. He's difficult in the locker room. Can the players get along with him? Is it going to work? Blah 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 blah. Look. To me, what's more important is how did it work over the course of an 82-game regular season? Worked out pretty good, and they still made it to the NBA Finals, and they still were just a couple of buckets away from going back to back. And what would the narrative be this year if that was the case? Now, the problem is he missed a game in the playoffs, a key game, which could have potentially won them the series at some point. So I think it's a concern, but I think it's minor right now. I mean, if he starts heading down the road of Dennis Rodman,
I was about to say he's not as colorful as Dennis Rodman.
No, but I mean, in terms of
lethal.
Yeah, if it turns into a collection of fouls and that turns into suspensions and that type of thing, if he goes down that road, then I think you're going to have to rethink some things and perhaps what makes him good is the way he plays. I mean, he's going to go against some of the better players on everybody's team, and in order to get himself ready to play, sometimes he steps, you know, over that line. But I need to see more of him being out of control before I say he needs to get back in control. I think we're talking about a very small number of incidents, obviously important and magnified because of the NBA Finals, but I don't think it's a big deal for the Golden State Warriors yet. You keep an eye on it, see how it goes this year, but I still think they're going to do just fine for themselves. Not too worried about it.
Not too worried.
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't be.
Okay. I'll shift back to football because we are, intense on football at this time of the year. We've seen Blaine Gabbert. We've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick benched. Who's the next guy that's going to take a bench? Colin Kaepernick came in. Really, was it a help to his 49ers? Not really.
No, because I think they're almost beyond help. I mean, that's a bad football team, and that's where the Buccaneers need to pounce this week, is the fact that San Francisco is not a very good football team. And you need to keep them down that path of what's going on. We can't win. We keep making mistakes. And, Kaepernick did not play poorly, but he did not play very good either. Keep them miserable is what the Buccaneers need to do. Yeah, you look at, where the quarterback changes will come. Obviously you're going to look at teams that are losing and not playing well. And, I don't know who's uh, next up on the list because I think you've got to have some degree of expectation of hoping to win, or you've got to have perhaps a young quarterback waiting in the wings that you're trying to get in there. I mean, you just look down the. I mean, like the Jets have made a change.
Yeah, Geno Smith, but is he really?
No,
Is he ready for the slot?
no.
I don't think
Remember,
so.
he's already lost the job once.
Yeah,
So
he has an 11-18 record as a starter.
Geno Smith is there because Fitzpatrick is playing so poorly. They've got to change quarterbacks because they know they're not going to get anything positive out of Fitzpatrick.
That's true.
And okay, Geno, you were a draft. Let's give you one more crack. So
let's see what you can do.
I don't. I mean, you could look at Buffalo. I mean, you could look at Miami and say that that's a team that is, uh, underachieving. But I don't think they're going to turn it over to their backup. I think Tannehill's the guy. Jacksonville's not going to do anything. Indianapolis isn't going to do anything. Cleveland can't do anything because they have no more quarterbacks
They don't have
left.
anybody left.
Yeah, I mean Cincinnati's struggling, but they're Andy Dalton's their guy, and he's proven that he can do it. You look at the NFC East, everybody's there and fairly competitive, so there's going to be no quarterback change there. Carolina's terrible, but you're not. Cam Newton's not. New Orleans is 2-3, but they're not going to get rid of Drew Brees and bring it.
He's an icon.
I mean, Chicago has already, due to injury, gone to a backup quarterback. I would assume that the one that would stick out to me would be Los Angeles. And obviously they drafted Jared Goff out of California, and they've been going with Case Keenum. But I would think as the Rams look like they're starting to backslide a little bit, they get off to that good start. I think they're going to start to backslide a little bit, and somewhere the last maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season, I would think when you become eliminated from playoff contention, and I think they will, with Seattle and Arizona in that division, I still think Arizona is going to get it together. I think Seattle will probably have no problems with it. I think that's where you'll probably see the quarterback change if it was me. I think that's the next team that's going to go because they've got a young guy, a high draft pick that they need to see. And at the end of the year, when you're eliminated, that's the perfect time to put him in. That would just be what I think they would do.
My money's on Tannehill being the next guy to take a bench. I just have that feeling.
He could be. I think that they need to. I agree he might deserve it, but I think if I'm Miami, I'm saying he's got to play every game this season because we need to see him for a full year with a head coach and an offensive system so we can analyze him as best we can and figure out finally, is this the
franchise quarterback we thought he was going to be, or do we need to start over and admit this didn't work and go in a different direction? Because this isn't an experiment that's lasted a handful of years, right? It's been sidetracked because of coaching changes, both head and offensive coordinator. So that's always been the big question mark with Tannehill. Okay, get him with somebody. Consistency, same system. How does he pick it up? How does he perform? So that makes me think they're going to try to ride it out with him for the entire season because they cannot continue to go into another season starting it off by saying, is Tannehill the guy yet? Is he a franchise quarterback? They need to answer that question this year. And I think we can all sort of see where it's headed. I don't think he is, but you've invested some time and some money in him. But I think while he may deserve at some point to be benched, I think bigger picture you got to keep him in there just to get the full view of a 16-game schedule with a new head coach and the system and see how he plays. But I don't know how Miami's going to do it.
All right. College football. I'm looking forward down the road to, I think, what's going to be one of the most exciting games of the year, no matter where you're at in the country. I think that Michigan, Ohio State is going to be the one to top everything else. Because I don't think anybody in the end is going to beat Alabama, but that's beside the point. I think this is the game of the year. If you're looking to the number one game in college football.
Well, I mean, just look at the standings right now and the rankings. Even though the college football playoff are the ones that matters when those come out. But yeah, they're going to be, barring a loss by either one heading into that game. That one has the potential to be 2 versus 3, 2 versus 4. It's going to be a top 4 matchup any way you shake it. So, yeah, that one is certainly steamrolling towards the game of the year, and you wonder is that the end of somebody's season if they lose it? I mean, can the Big Ten get 2 teams in the playoffs with one team losing, not getting all the way to the Big Ten championship game? So that will be, I think that'll be the next. Before we even get to that game, that will be the discussion that takes place. When the college football playoff comes out with their, first 4, and you see Michigan and Ohio State both in the top 4, which they should be, the question would become, does the Michigan-Ohio State loser still have a chance to get into the playoffs? And that's going to come down to all sorts of other questions. If Clemson were to lose a game to Florida State or somebody else, would a one-loss Clemson team be able to still get in over a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State team? That's thank goodness we've got about 5 or 6 weeks to debate that. But that's going to be what the question I think will become, because you still have Washington sitting out there undefeated in the Pac-12. We're all assuming Alabama is going to go undefeated, so it could be very interesting this year with the one-loss teams and heck, Clemson may go undefeated, Washington may go undefeated, Alabama may go undefeated, and the Michigan-Ohio State winner may go undefeated. We may not have to worry about it all. That's entirely possible.
Well, for me, the excitement is the Harbaugh-Meyer matchup. I mean, that's got to be better than the presidential campaign.
That's turning into good stuff, and we're going to get to see it every year for quite a while, you would assume.
I would think so. Hey, stay with us. High school football next, right?
Absolutely. Price Harris from Denellen.
All right. It's next on Key Sports and More from CBS Sports Radio 104.3.
If I were washed more often, I wouldn't be so cranky. Look, the dog gets more baths than I do. Yes, I'm talking about you. Children leave crumbs and soccer ball dirt all over my interior. It looks like a sand pit. You would think for a car this reliable, they would take me to get a bath. Do they realize they could keep me groomed year-round at Mr. B's Car Wash in Crystal River for less than $14 a wash? That's not even close to Fluffy's grooming bill. Oh, the humanity. Does this sound like your car? Treat your second most valuable possession to a full wash and vacuum at Mr. B's Car Wash, US 19 in Crystal River, your full-service auto detailing center. Oh, go bury a bone somewhere.
Love Honda's model year-end sale ends soon, so hurry in and save on every new Honda.
And Love Honda is making it easier than ever to buy. It all starts online at lovehonda.com. Then come in and choose from our best selection of new Hondas priced to sell, like a new 2016 Honda Civic LX Automatic for just $159 a Or drive a new 2016 Honda Accord LX Automatic, just $169 a month. And the new 2016 CRV LX Automatic two-wheel drives are only $179 a month. These are rock-bottom prices you won't see any other time of the year, only during the model year-end sale at Love Honda. See more clearance specials at lovehonda.com.
Go anywhere in the world first, but check with Chad last, and you'll save like nowhere in the world at Love Honda on Highway 19 between Homosassa and Crystal River. Come and see what love can do for you.
36 months, 12,000 miles per year. $29.99 due at signing plus tax title license and any dealer installed options. On approved credit, see dealer for details.
Make your Saturday, November 5th, a fun-filled day. Start by heading out to the Black Diamond Invitational Car Show from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. See the finest examples of antique, classic, and contemporary vehicles in a beautiful fairway setting. Afterward, head on over to the Kings Bay Rotary's 9th Annual Stone Crab Jam from 3 till 10 p.m. with live music from 3 stages, artists, vendors, a variety of foods featuring stone crab, all while enjoying an open street festival in downtown Crystal River.
CBS Sports Radio 104.3 is your home for full coverage of each and every Florida Gator football game this season. Pregame begins 3 hours before kickoff, and then Mick Hubert will have all the live game action, and then full post-game coverage brought to you by CBS Sports Radio 104.3 and sponsored in part by Eagle Buick GMC Homosassa and Badcock Home Furnishings in Inverness, Dunellen, and Crystal River.
The 13th Annual Friends of Homosassa Springs Wildlife Park Haunted Tram Rides is coming up quick on Thursday, October 27th through Sunday, October 30th. A donation of $5 for age 13 and up and $3 for children over 3 to 12 includes a Halloween costume contest on Friday and Saturday, along with a fun slide, refreshments, and the haunted tram rides each night. The 13th Annual Friends of Homosassa Springs Wildlife Park Haunted Tram Rides, an evening of family fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have got an evening of family fun coming up for everybody tomorrow night as
live.
We take to the road and we head for Dunellen, and let's talk about this game.
Yeah, game of the week for us here at CBS Sports Radio 104.3. You can listen to it live beginning about 7:15. It'll be live streamed on our YouTube channel, CBS Sports Radio 104.3, so you can watch it, listen to it, do a little bit of both, or head out to the game itself. It'll be a great atmosphere. Dunellen host South Sumter in a huge district battle, and we're joined by Dunellen head coach Bryce Harris. And I would imagine after, Coach, a whole season of waiting and talking and fans and folks in the school and the community, it's just finally fun to get to the game because this is the game everyone seems like they've been talking about since last year's game against South Sumter.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game last year, so everybody's been excited about it. It's going to be a war. It's going to be, they got a great football team, so it should be a really good game.
Obviously, a change at the top for South Sumter. You have a legendary coach step aside. Athletes are still running through the hallways there, but has there, or do you notice any change in what they're doing as they bring in a new head coach, or is it still most of the same thing?
It's exactly the same thing. Me and Ty started our coaching career together, by the way. If you didn't know that, me and him are really, really good friends. And, I took a different path. I went and tried to find jobs elsewhere. He's a Leesburg boy, and he stayed right there and been a part of that program for 20 years. And, he's running it just like Coach Sherman did. Just as exciting to watch, hard to prepare for. So, Stan Colburn's been there forever. Stan's still running the offense like he did with Coach Sherman. So, it's basically the same stuff. It's going to be a war. They're tough kids. They play hard. They got talent. They got a kid going to Colorado. They got some really good football players. So, it's going to be a good test. It's going to be we're going to see where we're at.
Yeah, you mentioned about obviously the familiarity between you and their head coach. Is this a week where, do you guys usually talk during the week and keep things pretty light? And if you do, does this week change anything at all?
Oh no, we talk every week. 2 or 3 times a week. And, friendship goes a lot further than just coaching against each other. But it doesn't matter if we go out and play golf. We do it. We try to beat each other. So there's no difference here. I mean, we're still going to try to compete, beat each other, and very competitive against each other. So, but it's just nice to see him finally taking a head coaching job. He's
job at Dunellen a couple of years ago, Coach. Did you start of sort picturing this in your mind that this may happen? I mean, did Ty think this was going to happen, or what was the thought when you came to Dunellen? Because obviously, a team that Dunellen sees quite frequently. Did you guys picture this might take place at some time?
Well, we played each other other places. When I was in Frostburg, we played them. We played each other over the years, so it wasn't really a big deal. When I took the job at Denellen, I took a great football job, and so the rest of it just kind of plays in and does whatever it does. But I knew what I needed to do to be successful, and that's to get this take this job, and the perks of it gives me I get to compete against some of my good friends, and I play more than just ties with some of my friends. It's always good to play friends. Get bragging rights the rest of the year, so it's not all bad.
No, not at all. To the game itself, Coach, obviously huge postseason implications, number one spot in the district, home playoff game. Uh, I'm wondering, going back to last year, you talked about what a big win and a great game that was. Was that maybe a turning point for your kids in terms of we know we're good, we know we can compete, but this just proved that we are an elite program and we can be there when you start talking about state championships? Do you feel like that game was one of those points, or was your program already there regardless of what would have happened at South Sumter?
Well, we feel like we're working our way to being an elite program. You don't win one district championship and become elite. You got to do it over and over again. And so last year was a huge game for us, and a big win for the program. It's put us in the right direction. Being able to host a playoff game was huge. But we've got to do it every year. We've got to find that consistency to be considered an elite program like South Sumter is. South Sumter's done it for years. I mean, they're 20 years, 30 years strong, and we've got a long way to go before we reach that point. But hopefully we can continue to get better, and hopefully this year it'll be another win for the Tigers. It's going to be a tough road, though. It's going to be a really, really hard game. Like I said, they've got some really good football players. It's going to be electrifying atmosphere, and everybody's had this one penciled in for a long, long time. So I expect a huge crowd, and really excited about the atmosphere. It's always fun for the kids when it's electric and everything's going. So it ought to be a good game.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and you're right. The atmosphere will be. I mean, this is a playoff atmosphere. Some playoff games might not even have this kind of atmosphere. It's so amazing. It's going to be such a wonderful Friday night out there. Obviously, when you get into a game like this, you want your team playing as good as they can. First of all, how do you think your team is playing in terms of being ready for now and the stretch of the season? And the other part of that, I'm sure, is health. How healthy is your football team?
Well, healthy wise, we're pretty healthy. We're not 100% healthy. We never are at this point in the season, but I'm sure South Sumter's not either. But overall, we're pretty healthy, and I'm excited about what our guys did. They played really well last Friday night. I mean, it was a quick game, but it was it was still our guys came out and executed and were focused, and I feel like they prepared very well for South Sumter. But the preparation and all is huge, and as you well know. But you still got to go out and play the game because I'm sure they prepared well for us as well. So it's going to be it's going to come down to big time players making big time plays, big time games. And that's what this is. And so we'll just see if we can get our guys out in space and they can make something happen with the ball, and hopefully we can slow them down. Their two running backs are. They're scary. I mean, you're looking at 230 and 220. So I mean, there's some big old guys, and you're gonna have to really stick it up in there every play, and that's a tough task for our defense.
Yeah, but speaking of your defense, really an unbelievable game a year ago over in Bushnell against South Sumter. A lot of success. Key was forcing a lot of turnovers. I'm sure you can't imagine that exactly that's kind of performance again on Friday night, but I'm sure you're going to need something like that if you're going to knock them off, right?
Oh yeah, we've talked about the thing that's so hard with South Sumter is they're so fast. They run that no huddle, and they give you so many formations and so many different types of plays. They run it, they throw it, they run option, they run power eye, they're in the shotgun. It's really difficult to prepare for, and because it's so fast, they're hoping that you miss a line. And so we've worked hard this week on trying to make sure that our alignment's going to be correct. And last year it wasn't just
to Denellen head coach Price Harris. Of course, a huge district game coming up tomorrow night as they welcome in South Sumter. You mentioned the speed at which they want to run their offense, getting plays off misalignment. The opposite of that, as you mentioned, is get the ball in your hands, in your offense. Does that slow down at all what you try to do on offense to maybe keep it a little longer? Because yours is an attack that can score quickly. We've seen that a lot this year as well. Do you change at all your offensive philosophy, or are you willing to still go fast too on offense if you need to?
No, we're going to continue to do what we do. I mean, they're not going to dictate to us what we're going to do. I'm not that worried about it. We're just going to try to get the ball and put our guys in space and get them the ball with some room to run. Um, Usually when that happens, good things happen. So, we just got to control the line of scrimmage, and hopefully we'll get done what we need to get done.
We talked about it, about how huge this game is. You mentioned what the atmosphere will be like. Do you get worried at all about your team in the first few minutes being a little too jacked up, mistakes, penalties, that kind of thing? Or is this a group that, after last year playing them and playoff games, that they're pretty used to this and they'll come out okay?
Well, there's always that chance that you're going to get too jacked up. We've been talking about it this week in practice, but that comes down to senior leadership, and I feel confident that our seniors are going to do a good job. So hopefully we'll get out there and do what we need to do, and just cross our fingers that everything's going to work out.
Certainly the eyes of West Central Florida and really the entire state probably. A lot of eyes looking at this game. Dunellen hosting South Sumter on Friday night, tomorrow night at 7:30. Our game of the week right here. Head coach Price Harris. Coach, as always, enjoy talking football with you. Best of luck tomorrow night. Look forward to seeing you and your team in what should be, as you said, an unbelievable atmosphere out at Dunellen High School.
Thank you, Brett, man. You have a great day.
All right, you too, Coach. Thank you. That's Price Harris from Dunellen, and he knows what it's going to be like. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere, great game, and we'll see if the Tigers can make it 2 straight. He talks about becoming an elite program. This would be another step right there, beating South Sumter 2 years in a row and winning 2 straight district titles. Could be impressive stuff for Dunellen High School.
Gridiron battle.
Man, am I looking forward to that one. Goodness gracious.
Could be the game of the year.
You're right.
All right. Stay with us because we have plenty more to come. Player of the Week next on Key Sports and more.
Phooey, honey, something smells real bad. And take a look at what's happening in the yard. What a mess. Guess it's time to have our septic tank pumped and our drain field checked. That must be why our toilets are gurgling.
Call Mike Scott Plumbing. Get information on new septic systems, drain fields, and lift stations. They have the knowledge, material, and ability to handle any situation you have with your septic system. Call 866-314-4443 today for a free quote. And get Mike Scott Plumbing to handle your septic needs. Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Discover why Brashear's Pharmacy is the Chronicle's Best of the Best award winner. Brashear's Pharmacy is your independent hometown pharmacy where your needs and well-being are top priority. The professionals at Brashear's Pharmacy will answer all your questions and concerns about prescriptions. They provide vaccines, stock a full line of now vitamins and supplements, and carry unique gift items for any occasion. Brashear's Pharmacy, where you save time and money. 2 convenient locations, downtown Inverness and just off Lecanto Highway, Lecanto.
Find your style at Badcock and get 20% off your entire purchase when you open a new Badcock account. Plus, get $200 in free accessories with your qualifying purchase. And upgrade to a king-size mattress set for the price of a queen and save up to $689.90. With no credit refused, Badcock makes it easy. Hurry into your local Badcock and get 20% off your entire purchase when you open a new Badcock account now through October 24th. See store for complete details.
It's clearance time at Mr. Pool. The time to get great deals on above-ground pools, Dimension 1 spas, and hot spring hot tubs. It's clearance time at Mr. Pool, with 2 locations to serve all of your pool, spa, and hot tub needs. Highway 44 Crystal River, just east of Highway 486, and Mr. Pool on State Road 52 in Hudson. Get the best selection and the best savings while supplies last. During clearance time, going on now at Mr. Pool.
Save a buck on a new truck from Eagle Buick GMC. 2016 GMC Terrains from $199 a month. 2016 GMC Acadias from $299 a month. Select from hundreds of new trucks and SUVs at Eagle. New 2016 GMC Sierras. Every color, every model. Regular cabs, extended cabs, crew cabs, and diesels. Save over $6,000. Eagle Buick GMC is your GMC truck Stop by US 19 in Homosassa.
Don't miss CBS Sports Radio 104.3's live high school football coverage each and every Friday night. In addition to all the play-by-play action, you can get regional scores for every game as they happen. And you can watch live on our YouTube live stream sponsored by Bowler Rice Roofing, Homosassa. Don't miss CBS Sports Radio 104.3 live high school football each and every Friday night thanks to each of our high school football game sponsors, Eagle Buick GMC Homosassa, Mike Scott Plumbing Hernando, and Love Chevy Inverness.
All right, as always, we do the player of the week from Beat Brady's on Wednesday night. Another packed house, was it?
A very good crowd, as usual. Exciting to see and love to see the tables filled and excitement for three of the high schools that were there. We mentioned Citrus on a bye last week. They weren't there, but, man, packed house, loved it.
All right, let's check it in and see who we got this week. every week we do it. Wednesday nights at Beef Brady's Crystal River. We invite everybody to come down. It seems like everybody shows up, though,
It's a
doesn't
great crowd.
it?
Love it.
I'll tell you what.
Dan and Debbie do a great job putting it on. Great to see all four the county high schools out there participating, the fans, the players, the coaches, the families. It's just a great way to recognize them, and we're so happy to be a part of it. It's a fun Wednesday. It leads into a great week end of high school and college football.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for our show for today. We invite you to join us tomorrow. It should be a pretty exciting one as we gear up for the game of the week on Friday night, Donnell and South Sumter. I get excited just thinking about it.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. All right. Have a great one, everybody. CBS Sports Radio 104.3 is your official home for Gator football, Gator basketball, Rays baseball, and high school sports. This is WYKE